Well, we have our quorum for the meetup. Hopefully we'll have a few other people show up in the audience. I mentioned Caroline, we had about 17 folks mark as interested. So hopefully we'll have some more folks, but we are recording already. So, and we'll put this on our YouTube channel. And as James mentioned earlier, the way of Web3 is a lot of people busy and like to see things asynchronously sometimes. So we'll accommodate that and share our stories today and with the community, and let folks trickle in as they do live, and share the rest with those who watch later. So I thought we'd just start with a quick round of intros, make sure everybody knows who everybody is. I'm Tim. This is my first time emceeing and hosting the contributor meetup for Unlock. Second time attendee, so happy to be here. I'm leading community efforts, particularly around developer relations for Unlock. So Julian, you want to say hi to the crowd and everybody?
Absolutely. My name is Julian. I'm the CEO and founder at Unlock. This is our 13th contributor meetup, which is pretty cool. I don't know if it's good luck or bad luck. I'm really excited to hear from both James and Caroline. We've been both very active member of the community. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Awesome. Caroline, you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Caroline. I am not anything like a developer. So using Unlock has been an adventure. I got into NFTs mainly because of the art first. I was really interested in all of it, and started my project together with Unlock in November. I think we started building, something like that. It started a little bit earlier, but yeah, November was when I really went for it. December, we launched sort of I would now look back at it as like the Genesis collection. And now we are working ever since probably January, end of December, on Tales of Editora, which is the project that should go live in about 4 weeks from now. So yeah, it's really exciting, and that one is now fully packed with a lot more exciting stuff, which obviously I will show today. And Julian is quite a bit involved, so he knows exactly what I'm going to talk about, but maybe I can surprise him still a little bit.
Of course.
So we'll see.
Awesome. Thank you, Caroline. Look forward to hearing more. I got to show off my minted Realm Ronin NFT this week, and have been following along with the game.
Yeah, you got some good colors, I must say. I like the combination that you got there.
Yeah, it's really clean, lovely. I love the art. James, tell everybody who you are, and we'll hear more from you here in a moment too.
Awesome. So thank you ever so much for having us today. So my name's James Adams. I'm I guess it's always weird to say co-founder of a community, because a community is such an organic thing. But we'll go with co-founder because I guess that's the easiest way to sort of push it that way. So ETH Angler is a community in the east of England, which is just north of London if you've never been to the UK. And essentially, we're really trying to promote the adoption, use, and entrepreneurship that Web3 can offer in a region. The east of England has some really lovely, well-known areas such as Cambridge, Norwich, but it also has some very poor areas as well. And I see ultimately Web3 as an opportunity for people to collaborate and work together to impart knowledge, impart opportunity, and hopefully through the meetups that we have, through the training and development courses that we're going to offer, and also and through the adoption of Web3 in the region, I really see it as an opportunity for us to collaborate and build something and support in offering a new way for people to ultimately earn and contribute to our economy.
Yeah, thanks, James. Appreciate that. We have a couple attendees, audience members who've joined, Amber and Musab. If you all would like to say hi, feel free to unmute and say hello and tell us where you're dialing in from if you want, or you can stay on mute and we can move on to the presentations.
Hi, this is Amber from Unlock. Just wanted to say hello.
Thanks, Amber. Awesome to have you here. And Musab, thank you for being here as well. I think we can go ahead and jump in. Caroline, you are the lucky number one presenter. So want to tell us all about your project? Show us, and you can screen share if you want, and whatever.
Yeah, I see that it's so far it says host is disabled participant screen sharing, so you'll just have to allow that.
If you go down to the share screen button, the share content, and go to the little up arrow, allow multiple participants to screen share.
Do you have that on your side, Tim?
I don't. I'm not a host designated.
Oh yeah, you are. I mean, because I've assigned you last week to all of the meetings.
Well.
And you started the one, so yeah, you're. I think
I'm seeing the same message: host disabled participant screen sharing.
Oh, you did not log in before starting the meeting. Okay, you need to log in onto. Okay, I don't know how to tell you to do this. Okay, let me see if I can do it from here. Because you need to log in first when you do these things. Let me do that. I am not sure I can easily. So I'm gonna leave and come back. Give you 1 second.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, folks. A unfortunate result of new person emceeing and running the show for the first time. Sure, we can work through this technical difficulty now that we're 2 years into our Zoom lives. Still figuring it out.
Oh, it's so funny every time you hear like Zoom, Teams. I'm trying to think of like this Huddle now as well, which is the Web3 version. Like, one of the things that's been so good over the last few months for me is just getting back in face to face with people. I make a joke all the time that says decentralized does not mean you have to be away from people all of the time. You know, we still are communities. We still want to see each other. We still want to spend time together. So yeah, okay, great. We might work on the other side of the world, and that makes it difficult. But let's not forget to get together and be in front of people, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. And I'm back. Caroline and James, you're both co-hosts now, so you should be able to share your screens.
Thank you, Julian. You saved the day.
I'll show you how to do that next time, Tim.
Thank you. All right, the floor is yours, Caroline.
Can you guys see my screen?
Absolutely.
Can.
Okay, cool. So I don't really have like a huge fancy presentation for you guys, just something really simple. So Tales of Editora is a couple of things, and I thought it would be useful to just walk through what it really is and then show the website so you get real tangible examples. So it is in essence a fantasy world, and we started building this back in November. And the way this started is that I wanted to create an NFT project where I was going to write a book, as you guys can see here at number 2, obviously. And in that book, the NFT holders would get a say in what happens in the next chapter. So I wrote the first 3 chapters, those are out. Already whilst writing those, we saw that members of the community started to participate, to brainstorm. And it is now paused at the end of chapter 3, but it's only paused. It is going to continue. So that first idea still remains intact, and that was Tales of Ronin. It was not Tales of Eledora, but Tales of Ronin. So that is also the rare Ronin that Julian, for example, has, the round Ronin that Tim has. These are NFTs for Tales of Editora and Tales of Ronin, for both of them. So how does that work? So I wrote a book, I wrote these 3 chapters, and people would start voting in the Discord. But as I was writing this, I experienced the whole world that I was starting to create myself together with the community. And I saw like the opportunities that were inside of this world and how we could expand it. Besides that, I also learned from my mistakes. And I saw that many people, like we had a few really hardcore fans, but most people lost a little bit the touch with the project because they didn't have somebody representing them inside of the project. And that's where I thought, okay, maybe it is better if we expand the world so everybody can have their own character in this world. And as I started to develop that idea, I had a meeting with the community that we had at that point. So this is December, and they started talking about RPGs and how they used to play that stuff and how they were even in text-based RPGs on Discord and how they had been doing that on forums back in the days. And that made me realize, okay, so an RPG would be really cool. but I'm not really somebody who can like do text-based RPGs. That's not really in my system. So started looking at the opportunities, and together with one of my best friends started building a RPG game in Discord. We found like a sort of starter kit for an RPG in Discord. It looked really good. We found out later that it had a ton of limitations. So we've been building our own game, and I'm going to show you guys a little bit of that later. Now, the idea right now is with Tales of Editora to launch in April, and everybody gets basically their own character that lives in Editora. And with that character, you can do a couple of things. One, you can play the game. And the way that works actually with Guild XYZ. So Guild XYZ will be able to see your NFT. And based upon your NFT, it's going to assign you 2 roles. One is going to be your faction. And based upon your faction, you have a starting point in the game. And 2 is your role. For example, if you're a warrior, you are probably using a sword, so you could slice and stab. But if you are a evoker, you can maybe use like fire and a blizzard. So really like sort of like mage actions. So that is the part in the RPG in the game. In the book, the story that I'm writing, your character necessarily won't immediately play a role, but it is still your token that helps you to vote. Basically, if you have the NFT, you are able to vote and to brainstorm with me about the story. But who knows, maybe your NFT is going to have an appearance in the book later. As you can see at number 4 here, there is also a very strong community aspect. So what I really want to create here is a world where people can start writing lore around their own characters as well, within the boundaries of Editora, which are quite broad. And at number 5, we also have audio. We actually have a music producer that has been working with us, who has been creating a soundtrack for Tales of Editora and music embeds that you can sometimes hear in the background. And you can also see that I have the book there because we are currently working on the audiobook version. So right now for the first 3 chapters and soon for the rest. And then there's more because there's going to be more. So in terms of the art, this is just a really quick idea of it, but I'm going to show you more. But we basically have 22 animals. For every animal, we have a male and a female version. And 4 of the 22 animals are in 2 factions. So combine it all together, every single one needs to be generated. It basically comes down to 52 generative projects. So it's quite a bit of work, but we are getting there. So here you can actually see a beautiful illustrator behind the scenes. Maybe fun for people to see that, like, we have basically the different bodies, different layers here, and obviously all of those can be combined, etc. I was just exporting a few of our examples there earlier. Now, let me go to the website, because this will actually show you guys a little bit more. So this is the website that I am still very much building out, making changes here and there constantly. We are also really updating it right now because a lot has changed in the recent months. But here you can read a bit more about the whole launch plan and everything that we have put into place. And the most exciting part, and the thing that I'm working on a lot with Julian, and also today again now with Joel, who is helping us with the script, we really hope that we can achieve them to be dynamic NFTs, which means that if you start playing the RPG in the Discord and you, for example, take part in a quest, and you're one of the first 10 people to complete the quest, or you end up in the top 10 of the leaderboard, you will be able to mint, for example, a special weapon. This is just one of the possible scenarios. And then if you mint that weapon, it will actually show up on your NFT. Or maybe the background is going to change, or you get a specific kind of jewelry, something like that. So we are really focused on getting this done right now. And it seems more and more like it is going to be a possibility. So now I would love to show you guys a little bit of the RPG. I've actually not shown this to a single person so far, so this is going to be interesting. So here we have our beautiful Discord, and people are thankfully chatting in it. Then we have World of Editora, and this is where I sort of start the game. So I'm gonna say RPG new game. This will also reset all my hard work and grind over the last few weeks, so bear with me. We actually have a leaderboard, as you guys can see, and it's going to tell me that I do already have an account. But I think I had to go for Hunter here, and I'm pretty sure that I had already a role assigned. Now, this does have to work in the DM, so we are going to be very careful with this, where we only start the game really after our minting is sort of done, so we don't get any like scam in the beginning. But the problem is, if we had it in one channel, you're going to run into the API rate limits of Discord. So we had to do it like this, but I think it's going to be okay. Now you can see here that I've now gotten a DM. It says Editora RPG, and I get a little bit of text here, and I immediately get one quest. Please mind that this is the beta version, not even the beta version, the alpha version, and the one that we are working on right now that is being updated is also getting all the art that we've been creating for it. But now I can go basically and play this. So I can go to the Note on Watchtower, and as you guys have seen in my quest log, I need to do a specific number of things, and I need to actually go to the harbor because I need to kill harbor bandits. So I'm gonna go to the harbor and I need to travel there. Now, all these things are linked to each other in Airtable, and the RPG itself works via autocode. And we have had, for example, the creator, the founder of autocode also come into the Discord to help us out. So it's amazing to see how people are really helpful in this Web3 community. Basically, it's so good to see that if you get stuck, they are there to help. So you can now see that I have found a harbor bandit and I can fight him. And I'm just gonna kill one so you guys can see what happens if I do that. Sorry for all the Discord sounds because I'm also still in Zoom, so it's giving me all the little notification sounds. Okay, now he's almost dead. Let's hope I can only hit him one more time. And now for all of the animals, all the areas, we obviously have different kinds of art. And you will see that a lot of this is not updated in this version yet, but in the back it is. Now I've killed it and I am also getting some loot apparently. So I pick up some rope and this is part of my quest. Imagine there being a bunch of different quests. We've really written out a complete storyline that fits along with the lore. So by playing the game, you get to know the world and you're going to get XP, etc., with which you can actually get items. So it is a little bit of a play to earn, but not with money or weird tokens or whatever, but actually with things mostly within the game. Although we might sometimes work with fun little prizes, but we have a ton of options there. So that's how that part works. And then if you guys are interested, then do go into the Discord, because in art you can see a little bit of the images that we're working on. So these are, for example, yeah, this is an example of one of the game areas. And we have a lot of different of these in here. We actually show all the sketches to people as well. We've been working on the map. So we have a lot of different things. And I think it's fun for people to be able to see how we go from sketch to actual image. And we've had a lot of good response on this. So here you can see this is like one of the sketches, and down here was one of the worked out versions. So I think that really covers most of the project. You can see that the world map is slowly coming together. We're working on a ton of derivatives, all kinds of things. And this is the Joel, I need your help. And I know that he's working here on the script for the outfits. So hopefully this is all gonna come together really, really well. And yeah, I'm just super excited to go live with it. So hopefully in about 4 weeks-ish, I'm mainly working a lot on getting like all the different collabs sorted right now. One really fun thing that I would love to share on the marketing side. Yesterday, I actually found a guy who is also really into sort of fantasy RPGs, all that stuff. And he is going to go onto our Twitter profile and go into different spaces as a character. So he will play sort of a character from the game or from the book. So we'll like change the profile picture to, for example, the cat, and then he's going to play the grumpy cat from our storyline in different spaces. And that, like, in a very creative way, try to get a little bit of extra attention to the account. So I'm really curious to see what that's going to do. But I think it will be another really nice way to drive traffic over there. Because honestly, I hope that this is going to be, like, a little while ago, we had this thing in the Unlock community with the most minted keys of the month. And I thought, well, we need to go way over that. So that is one of my goals right now. So yeah, that's it. If there's any questions, please do let me know. I would be happy to answer any of them. So absolutely do let me know.
Thank you, Caroline. I have a quick question. You mentioned using guild.xyz, and we had them in our last contributor meetup, and I actually just messed around and set up an integration with a community that I run as well. Can you talk a little bit more about your experience, like, and how Unlock, NFTs, and Guild and Tales of Eledora kind of all fit together in your integration?
So I chatted with Reka as well from Guild XYZ. So after the contributor meeting, I did a Twitter space with her also to learn more about it. And we obviously haven't been able to set it up yet as our contract is not live. But I've been testing it around with different other contracts, and I chatted with her to see basically all the possibilities, also with Christopher from Unlock. And now we kind of know for sure that we can do this. So if you go to Guild XYZ and you check, for example, the NFTs from OneForce, then you can see exactly how that works out with the attributes. And that's pretty much what we need as well. And I asked her on the contributors meeting if there was any limit to how many roles you can create, and there's not. So that's pretty great. So we are going to use that. And I know for sure, and I was not able to show it now in the test, but obviously one of the things we were thinking about is, okay, if people have 2 NFTs from the 2 different factions, what do we do? Because they still need to play the game, but you cannot do both games at the same time. So based upon that, you're going, like, at the start of it, you will get the question on which faction you then want to play. And it will only give you this one if you have the NFT. So that's going to be a fun experiment, see if it works out. But I know that we've been testing it, and so far it seems to work. So we want to do the same with the roles as well, because maybe people want to play the game with different kind of characters, but you can play one at a time. And it seems that this is all possible with the integration. And that's also the one other thing about Unlock, obviously. Like, I love using Unlock because it is so straightforward and there are so many helpful people and everything just fitted. But the reason why I started with it is because of the website access and being able to guard off different parts of the website. And now it seems almost as if that is not a necessary part anymore, but it really is, because we are going to continue with the book. And I've been looking with Christopher as well at creating a members area on the website at some point. So we do hope to sort of have a hub there. And the Discord's going to play an important role, but in 2 years' time, 3 years' time, I'm not sure if the community would be still mostly in Discord. We don't know how that is going to develop. So I want the website to play a very important role. And that's really where Unlock for us is also super important.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to maybe tell me more about the dynamic NFT, because I think this is a really, really exciting feature. And I think Unlock is the only smart contract that allows you to do this. I'll try to explain what that works, but maybe I'll share a couple of links in the next few days to make it clear. So back in January, we introduced a new feature on the lock contract, so the one that creators deploy. That's called a hook. And the idea of the hook is like it's a code mechanism that you can use to alter the behavior of the lock. So I'm sure you all know that the metadata, the NFT, the visual aspect of the NFT is actually coming from the contract itself. The contract say, hey, this is the image that should be used for that NFT, right? Recently, we've discovered that there's actually ways to, rather than actually point to an outside URL, generate on-chain the image and serve it directly from the NFT. So now the NFT doesn't say, hey, this is where the image is. It says, no, hey, here is the image, which is really, really exciting. And what Caroline is alluding to is, like, if you use that mechanism, basically, since you're actually not pointing to an external thing anymore, you're actually rendering the image from the smart contract. You can render it differently based on external factors. So for example, you can say, hey, if the owner of that avatar also has a weapon, then show the weapon on the avatar NFT. Or if the owner of that avatar also has an outfit, then show the outfit and the weapon on top of the avatar. Does that make sense for everyone? And what's really, really exciting about this is, like, obviously that, I mean, it's an amazing gaming feature, because in some way the visual NFT itself can evolve based on how far I go into the game, based on if my membership is expired. You can, I mean, we didn't talk about this, Caroline, but like, you could also make it so that if since NFTs, actually, I think you're picking one that don't expire, but like if you make it something where the NFTs expire, you can make it so that maybe the avatar is gray when it's expired instead of being in colors, which is kind of a very good mechanism to have and create kind of Easter eggs, right? It's like, oh, maybe on, on Pi Day, I don't know if that makes any sense, all of the NFT are going to look different because it's Pi Day, and now there's going to be a little pie on all of the NFTs, which I think is quite a fascinating Easter egg and something that is completely programmable. And so when you're building a game, obviously you want to reuse the core element, the fact that people have NFTs, but build on top of this experiences that are completely customized and dynamic. Obviously, this is at the edge of Unlock, at the edge of NFTs altogether, and definitely Caroline is patient enough to say, hey, okay, how do we do this? And this morning we had a bit of discussions like, okay, you're going to have to clean up your SVGs and remove the CSS classes in there. And she's like, what does that mean? But really, we're able to do progress here, which is kind of fascinating.
Yeah, so and the thing that I also want to mention there, because obviously we've thought about the timed experience and maybe doing that, and I thought, okay, maybe with this specific, like with the base, I don't see it happening right now because I want people to have unlimited access, but there's many things that we can do in the future, because there's one, updatable contracts, and two, this can evolve further and further. So it allows us as well to say, okay, we are going to launch this project, and you never know how things turn out, right? And we are not planning on a 10K project, but it might be somewhere around 3K, which is still quite a bit to sell out. And obviously I'm working really hard on the marketing, but if it doesn't, there is also for us now a huge opportunity in these sort of add-ons and these experiences that we can create. And we can actually offer something special. Like you see some NFTs now creating a mascots. Look at the Bored Apes with their dogs, for example. That's not a new thing, but that isn't a good example. But that is a separate NFT. I mean, great. Then with us, it would also be a separate NFT, but it will actually show up on your NFT. So it will be such an extra like cool advantage. And for people to be able to have a changing NFT, I think that's amazing. So I have high hopes right now because Julian, I just saw that the guy says he has the script hopefully tomorrow morning so that I can go and test it. And then we got about like, well, we definitely have 4 weeks because we are going to start first with obviously people get their NFT, but it will be logo. So we have another week to really get things sorted out. And then I think we'll be able to do it because all the art is basically ready, but now we need to do all the exports correctly and make sure it's good. And then there's also a thing like in our rendering, we'll have to like go through the output a little bit to make sure that the ones that turn out wrong are not in there. So I know that we need a week, but yeah, I'm really excited about it. And I'm really looking forward to bringing this to the public and sharing all the details. And that is the one thing I've been struggling with the most, to explain all the cool stuff that we are doing to everybody, because it is a lot and it's really hard to sort of compact it and tell it in a good way. But hopefully maybe this recording will help. Maybe I can send this one out.
Yeah, absolutely. That is one of the greatest results we'll get from doing this. And it sounds like the last time we did this last month, we created some awesome connections that resulted in that collaboration with you and Guild. And I hope more of that magic happens from here. So thank you so much for sharing. This was awesome. We're right at the halfway mark, so I think we'll switch gears and hand over to James. If anybody else had any questions for Caroline that we didn't get to, please feel free to drop them in the chat so we can get to them at the end or asynchronously. And next, we'll hand it over to James to tell us about ETH Anglia.
Thanks so much. Yeah, I haven't prepared a presentation, although I have got to give one tomorrow. So this is some great prep on that. I guess I will run through the website because it kind of covers our roadmap and what we wanted to achieve. So I guess really just starting out on the why again. So for us, it was how do we take a community that is partially crypto curious, I guess, and I always use this term crypto curious, and take them into engaging with Web3 and engaging in the space. And I think the biggest thing for us had to be, we had to build a community. We knew that we were never going to get any scale in terms of building people, building apps, interacting in the space, unless we really started right at the very start and said, look, we need to build our own community here. So that was really the first start of ETH Anglia. Was there was a few people that we knew that were really interested in the space, and we said, if we're going to actually grow this, we've really got to take that conscious decision as a group of people to drive forward in that space and show what the art of the possible is, I guess, really, and create that space. It's not letting me share my screen. I'm trying to do this in the background. It's saying host is disabled sharing. And that was where it really started, just to say, look, there is absolutely this opportunity for us to.
Again, to share your screen. I just said to multiple participants, so maybe that will work now.
Oh, there we go. Thank you. Can everyone see that now? Awesome.
Thanks, team.
Thanks, James.
Thank you. You can see that now?
Yes.
Awesome. And really, we did start with this genuine mission of, we have to develop a community. It has to start with understanding. If people don't understand the space, they're never going to engage. They're never going to adopt. They're never going to use Web3. And then beyond that, once people are understanding and engaged with the space, we can start moving on to the building and the creating the opportunities for the wider community. So that was really our first benchmark, is look, understanding first, into adoption and into utilization. I guess our journey started when we said, look, this is our roadmap. At first, we need to really start by bringing together a community in its very early form. And there was probably about 7 or 8 of us. And we just said, look, if we don't start doing this, how are we going to move forward? And right from the very beginning, we looked at how we can take some of the best parts of community building from Web3 and adopt that into our model. And straight off the bat for us, that was, you generally get more adoption and more use and more engagement when you make people feel part of this community. And so the first thing we did was set up some founder NFTs through Unlock. So we went to Unlock and said, look, you know, you are part of this community. And the reason that we chose to do that, to be honest, was we didn't want to go through the whole, how do we start building an NFT contract, right? That is a huge undertaking, even if you've got Solidity devs backing you up, right? And with using the Unlock contract straight off the bat, you know it's been used, you know it's battle tested, you know that it's been checked to make sure that it's legit, you know that it's authorized. I can't remember what the correct term for it is, but we didn't have to worry about all of that. So Julian, I think you wanted to dive in there and say what the correct term
audited.
was.
Audited is the word.
Audited, thank you.
We have not announced it yet, though. But yes, I worked on something yesterday. It's I'll publish a result very soon.
Oh, okay, but it's battle tested, if not audited, right? So you know that it's out in the market, it's being used. And we first tried it out and tested it out. It was like, this is just super easy. And when I talk about when we look at community events in a second, that for us, you know, for some of the people that we've been speaking to that have then minted on it, you know, that's the first case of adoption, right, of utilization. So NFTs was just a really good for us pull into the space. And I'll talk a bit in a minute about how we've furthered now our community building and governance. But that was our very first part of the roadmap, was look, how are we going to start building this community? And had to start with a core of the team and then build that out. And then community events. So we'd used Unlock already to mint our founder NFT, and they were like, okay, community events. How do you run a community event? Well, first of all is, you know, you need some space. You need to tell people about it, and then you need to create tickets, and then they'll turn up, right? And hopefully if you've done the first 3 things right and you've told them where to go and what to do, that will happen. So again, for us, we were like, well, hold on a second. There's this thing here in Unlock that allows you to mint an NFT for an event. It will give you a ticket, and you can use it as a ticket, and you can scan someone in. And if they do that, that's going to increase the adoption, because the way that we've run it is all of our community events. We have to bring people in. So we've got a Meetup group, and then we have our Unlock ticketing. The point is that they come for the Meetup group. They come along. We then set them up with a wallet, gift them a free NFT ticket, get them to scan in. If you're scanned in at the event, you get a free hoodie, if you're lucky. So again, we're taking this approach of, how do we build a community? how do we get people that are crypto curious or just interested in technology in general into the space, and then bridge that view into adoption? Because the second you realize that you can do it, and hey, hold on a second, like that's how easy, I say easy, we're minting on the Polygon network and MetaMask, we had to set a few people up on like putting the Polygon chain on, but once they get it, it's just like, oh, I thought it was going to be so much more difficult. And then they can go on Polygon Scan and they can see the NFT and they're like, this is mine, what? Like, and I guess the next stage in the boot camp, in where we want to get to with ETH Anglia, and something that starts next week actually, is our education piece. So if we're truly going to build a part of the UK that's really focused on Web3, we need builders, right? You need, in Web3, you need everything. You need community members, you need evangelists, you need builders. So we've now got our first boot camp starting on Monday, which is taking 9 people who can code in JavaScript through a 3-week Solidity course. And when I talk about education, sorry, I get quite passionate about this, but when I started like looking at education, I wanted to say to myself, what's the goal in educating people? And I said, if we can help one person do a job that they love and find something that they love to do, that for me was like the start of winning. So I'm getting quite emotional here about it, actually. But Patrick, who's with us, has just landed a job at Bosun Protocol before even going through the boot camp. So he's like, hey, I'm going through the boot camp. I'm going to be able to code in Solidity. And they offered him a job. So like already we're, that's really making a step change into people's lives. And yeah, that makes me super, super proud of what we're doing. And again, we were like, how can we show that some people have attended one of our boot camps, and how can it be in their wallet forever? Well, we can mint an NFT that says the date that they've attended. We can make it so it's non-transferable. There is a duty of care that we have if, for example, their wallet gets hacked, or, I don't know, something like that we can burn and replace the wallet. And I'll be honest, I don't have all the answers for that. That's something Sean's looking in for us. But for us, again, it's how can we use something like Unlock to demonstrate attendance and keep it in their wallet, almost like a POAP, I suppose, but yeah, you can do that straight for Unlock, and that's what we can do. And then one of the things that we're really proud of as well, which I talk about, is I talked about this whole education piece. We still need to bridge people from education into work or into supporting the wider community. And so we've got an incubator, which is I guess my day job. I run an incubator in the center of the city, and we've got all of this space, right? Like we've got 40 desks that are sat there, and yeah, okay, we cover rent and everything's good, but we've got this space, and we're committed to supporting the community. So what we've actually set up off the back of it is, if you go through the education piece and you're looking still to get a job and you haven't found anything yet, we're running what we're calling our bounty club. And essentially you can come into the office at any point that you want. You can sit down, you can code, you can collaborate with people that have been through and maybe looking for jobs, and you can try and win bounties that are out there in the wider market. So you're constantly contributing to the ecosystem and ultimately trying to get to where you want to get to in the space. So yeah, I guess that was the roadmap to begin with, and it was all really nice written down on paper. Writing a roadmap is really easy. Delivering it's quite something different. But I guess probably running through our blogs the best place to start. So our first event is tomorrow, powered by Unlock. Funny enough, someone actually came to me in the office today and said, "Oh, I've downloaded MetaMask. Can you help me?" So first thing tomorrow morning, I've got to sit with someone and set them up and drop them some Matic so that they can mint themselves an NFT. But for me, if we're talking about adoption in the space, right, ultimately that's what it's about. And I think if we're at the forefront, I say the forefront, right, if we're here to empower and promote this community. That's the role and responsibility we have within this community, right? Is how can we support people, nurture people, and bring them into this space? So first event's tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be live streamed, by the way. So we've got 3 great speakers. We've got 2 great speakers and me, actually. Dom Davis is going to be introing what is Web3. He's been on the Techstars accelerator, and he's a founder of a Web2 company, but we don't say that too loudly. And Gerard is joining us as well. Yeah, one of the other things is when we talk about governance, we really wanted to ensure that we got the community involved with our governance. So we do have a token which has absolutely no value associated with it whatsoever. You cannot buy our token. It has no liquidity. But what it does is it allows us to gift people as they contribute to the community some tokens, and ultimately put forward proposals. We offer a retroactive for people that have contributed, but again, no value to it apart from, you know, being part of the community. And we feel that that's been really successful in terms of what we're doing. Interestingly, we as I say, sorry, I'm just need to move this so I can actually get back to what I was talking about. We actually had a requirement to put on some space stuff and a big display, and one of our community members made this absolutely gorgeous background for our events for us. And again, that's the power of community. We were like, look, we really just need some help with this. Can you support? And in response for that, we've actually dropped them some tokens so that they can now vote in future votes that we have. So yeah, we are now moving forward again further with our education on Monday, and we do actually have our bounty clubs are now live. And in terms of education, because we've put this out into the wider community, we had someone that's been involved in Web3 for quite a while now come to us and say, look, we want to fund someone from a poorer background through 17 weeks, which is one of the courses that we offer. Taking them from 0 to Web3. So I guess it just shows, you know, if you really want to bring the power of community together, if you really want to just start, you know, start somewhere, go out there, start building something, find your people, find your community, and build. And yeah, I just want to say thanks ever so much for everyone at Unlock. You know, you've been really helpful in. I guess when you first start, you kind of go, can we do this? Like, this is pretty big. Like, how do you eat an elephant? One piece at a time, I suppose. And it was the support of like Julian. I know I've been on the Discord going, hey, can we do this? Like, can we do this for the ticket? And you're like, well, you can do that. And ultimately it's just taking that time to work together and be like, once you find something that you enjoy building and you enjoy working with, when you find people that you enjoy interacting and spending time with, you know, generally there's not much that you can't achieve. So I guess the point is find your people, find something that's pretty versatile and can work, and make it work for your community. So yeah, that's us, I guess.
Thank you, James. I love that ending kind of summary too. I think as we build community here at Unlock, we're thinking about a lot of those same things, and really glad to hear that you've found the support that you need to problem solve. And we're going to continue fostering a community around the protocol so that everybody who builds with it can have that similar experience, and, you know, not get hung up on little challenges, but find friends who can support them and get them over the hurdles. So really happy to hear that story from you. Hopefully others have experienced the same. I want to open it up. I have a comment and kind of a follow-up, some thoughts that your presentation and words inspired, but I want to give the floor to questions before I jump in. Anybody have any questions for James? I see Chris has something in the chat. Love the name East Anglia. Begs the question, what is your geographic spread throughout the east of England? Is that just East Anglia, or is Northeast England included?
Yeah, that's a. I'm trying to get back to my normal. Oh, there we are. Hi. I'm trying to get back to my normal screen. Yeah, just the east of England. So kind of Norfolk coast down to Essex, and then over to Ipswich for anyone. The reason we didn't want to go UK wide, if I'm honest, is worrying about overstretching ourselves. Like the really big thing for us was about engagement. So first one's in Norwich, second one's down in Cambridge, third event's over in Ipswich. And, you know, that's about an hour and a half from Norwich, which is the center point of the universe for me. But that's a really important piece, I guess, about engagement is, you know, for us, it's about making sure that we can devote time to have those events in person with people, and you know, be that face and be there. I think if we try to get to Manchester, it's like 4 hours, and 4 hours doesn't sound a lot in America, but in England 4 hours is like, we don't do that. We're not traveling that long. So yeah, East Anglia. And yeah, by the way, I don't know who came up with it. One of my friends always says that people don't have ideas, rooms do, because then no one can ever just take the credit. But I don't know who else was in that room apart from my friend John. So I think he has to take that one.
Credit goes to John and room.
I mean, and we're going to close soon. So I want to thank you both, obviously, Caroline and James, because you're definitely very valued members of the committee, and I'm really grateful to be working with you both on very different things. And that's one of the amazing things about Unlock is, like, as a protocol, it powers a lot of different things, and it's really cool to see. I want to give a quick shout out to Carlo as well, who has, been publishing a lot of cool stuff on Twitter about Unlock, and apparently the committee appreciates it because they voted for him on the retroactive funding for the month of February. I do want to remind everyone, like, this is not us, right? Like we allocate 100 UDT every month to the committee, and the committee can do whatever it wants with it by voting for the most, impactful projects. And so it's a way to say, if you want to, I don't want to say work, but if you want to contribute anything valuable to the committee, and obviously James and you, Caroline, are contributing very much every month. If you do that, you should make it clear for people to know that you're doing this, and you will get, a share of UDT if you gather some votes from the community. For me, it's a really, really critical mechanism, because we don't want to tell people like, oh, you do this, you do that. Like, that's not our job. Like, we're really trying to build kind of an open, decentralized ecosystem. And so we'd much rather have people say, I'm going to do this. Maybe that's going to be cool. I know how to do that. And I know Carlo is a designer himself, so knows how to do these little, animation on Twitter. And if that's valuable for the community, then the community is going to reward this. And so I definitely think this is actually a very interesting mechanism beyond Unlock to, fund what so-called public goods. And I look forward to seeing more of these things in the future. So please, if you hear this now or later, make sure that you are a part of the committee, that you, if you feel like you've done something interesting for this, submit your own address at the beginning of the month every month, and then vote for the project that you think are the most impactful.
Thanks, Julian.
With that also being said, Julian, I would love to, maybe I can best do it with Tim, I'm not sure, but or Christopher, or whoever, but to see how with our next launch we can have something really clear out to the people who mint, so they know what's going on. I think we need to have that like really upfront so they know it. And because afterwards it's a bit harder sometimes to get people to read up on stuff. So if we can sort of communicate this right at the start, it will be really good. So we need to find a good way to make it super easy for them to understand. I can definitely see like how we, like I can already imagine some kind of graphic, but we should
for the token themselves or for minting the NFT itself? No,
for like the fact that they get UDT upon
they get
mint.
UDT. Okay, basically. Yeah, this is definitely something that we should be much better at communicating. I know there was somebody in the community that say, hey, in your community, hey, I can't vote even though I did purchase, but they actually sold their tokens in the meantime.
Yeah,
so
which is strange.
it's if you go sell your tokens, then you're not part of the. You can't vote anymore. But yeah, basically, the idea here, as you know, is like people can earn Unlock governance token every time they use Unlock. And these tokens are ways then that you can later participate in governance decision, such as retroactive funding, such as our first proposal in the DAO that actually happened this week as well, and it's going to close very soon. And hopefully a lot more in the future. Like really our goal is to say, this is a collective effort, let's build this together. You have ways to take control from us and from me specifically. It's like, I mean, I want to retire. I want you all to do the work of promoting the community and pushing it forward and pushing the protocol. So that's not about me. Obviously, I will contribute to this, but I don't want to be in charge. To be clear, I want this to be a collective effort. I mean, this is critical and important.
Yeah, and I think like every single time we have, especially with this coming up, I imagine there must be at least a couple of people who get really interested and are like, oh, whoa, wait, I can actually do something now. And I'm sort of automatically part of a DAO. So let's see like how we can sort of integrate that a little bit more and make it more part of the mint, basically.
Absolutely.
So I will look into it as well, but maybe I will sort of spar with somebody, like just brainstorm a little bit.
Chris would be the best person for this. So I'm going to see him today. He's coming my way. We're going to be together at the conference, and so we'll talk about this. But I think definitely having more marketing material around the governance token. I did actually update the docs on the playlist today, and we're going to push this today. So that provides more information about how these things work. But you're right, like having a video, some kind of animation could actually go a long way as well.
Yeah, something really simple. So people also. Like many people are not even used to adding another token to their MetaMask. So if you can create like one super quick, simple video, I bet James can help us with this as well.
Oh yeah, James.
No, I didn't want to talk about that, but
I mean, honestly, these videos, I mean, James or Caroline or anyone, or I mean, Carlo or Musab or Chris, these are, we talked about the retroactive funding, right? Create a little video like this. Hey, this is how you do this. Record it, post it on Discord. Put it on the docs. That's actually a very valuable thing for the community. And I think that's something that, you could then say, hey, I did this month. Please, can I get a little bit of tokens for that work? Does that make sense as a dynamic? Yeah.
I've always kind of been of the opinion it should be a show me, don't tell me. And on our content strategy, the first thing is like setting up a MetaMask, then it's going to be minting an NFT on Unlock, and then but the reason we want to do this is because we want to create resources, and I guess I should talk about this, where we can say, look, are you interested in Web3? Yes. Okay, cool. Set up a MetaMask, mint it. We'll do it so that it's a gasless mint. Fine, yep. We can do that. And then actually token gate it, so all of the further content is behind an NFT wall. Like
that's the way to go. For me, I mean, I know people are sometimes like, oh, your Discord is token. Yes, that's the point. We're trying to show how these things work. If you don't actually try it, you're never going to know how it works. And honestly, I know it's not easy, right? It's not like a Facebook like, if you want, but it's also not that hard. Like once you set up the MetaMask and once you understand a bit of how things work, it's 5 clicks. Like somebody the other day tweeted something along the line, hey, maybe Web3, I mean, now that I'm getting there, I realize how dummy it is to kind of create an account on every website, put my email address, put my password, remember this password, click on the link that I get by email every time I want to log in somewhere. Like this is so much complicated. With crypto wallets, click, 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 boom, done. It's not as easy, but the goal is to get to that point. And I think we can get there. Like I mean, somebody who lives Web3, obviously, it feels so much. I mean, now every time I have to sign up for a website, I'm like, no, please don't let me sign up for this website. Just allow me to connect my wallet. It's going to be so much faster. But yeah. Cool.
100%.
Yeah. I wanted to add one thing. I think as community members or community builders, also a lot of folks, I think, at least I struggle sometimes to like brag or boast or be self-promotional or tell people what I've done, but to one degree you can just like someone else just said, show what you've done, right? Like just say, hey, I did this and here it is. But I think I just want to encourage everybody to get through that comfort out of their comfort zone a little bit, and don't be shy to share your work, because the more people see it, the more you'll get recognized. And of course, we want you to recognize yourself and nominate yourself for your contributions. And I think that the more people are aware of the work you're doing, the more you'll get nominated by others, and that outside validation feels really good. It's an extrinsic reward. So yeah, I think just as someone who oftentimes kind of works in the background and doesn't showcase it, I would wanted to empathize with anybody else who might feel that way and encourage openness and sharing. This was an awesome meetup. Go ahead, James.
Extrinsic. That's a beautiful word. I'm going to have to go and look up what that means.
I like to think through the lenses of extrinsic and intrinsic motivations when thinking about community, because a lot of things are, a reward given from someone else that feels really good, that's extrinsic, and then something that like kind of the reward that comes from within, like I feel good because I did this even if someone didn't recognize it from outside. So those emotional dynamics, really come into play. All right. I do have one other little quick community builder note, just because I couldn't help myself, but maybe it'll be helpful for others to apply what we've talked about today. James was talking about, basically, and Caroline, in giving examples of where NFTs can kind of commemorate participation and contribution within communities. And I've been building communities for 12 years and have kind of used this model that I learned from the lead of community Airbnb once, called community commitment curve. And it just maps like all the different possible contributions that people can make. And until Web3, I feel like to actually tangibly mark when those things happen is really, really difficult. And now with NFTs, that difficulty level has just sunk to almost zero. So I'm really excited about that. And if anybody wants to chat more about it, feel free to hit me up in Discord.
Love to.
Awesome.
I
Cool.
love chatting more about the whole community aspect, so I'll hit you up.
Okay. Thanks, Caroline. Well, thank you all for being here. Thank you, James and Caroline, for presenting. This is a lovely meetup. Thanks, Julian, for saving the technical difficulties we had, and our audience members for their great questions and presence. We'll see you next month.
All right. Have a good one.
Take care.